Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the May edition of the Downtown Tempe Streetscape Improvements on Mill Avenue Merchant Meeting. Thank you for joining us, taking the time for your day. Just real quick, we'll go through the project overview and some of the scope. As you may see out there at this point in time, we've widened the sidewalks. We've done some ADA improvements at the intersections. We've expanded the pedestrian space. We've changed out new pavers. We will be adding historic markers. We've upgraded the electrical and irrigation infrastructure on both sides of the street. At this point in time, we have a new tree palette for the downtown area. So some of our older trees are looking a little worn. Those who are mature and healthy will still be there, but once they start showing some signs of sickness, we do have new trees to be putting out there. Next slide. So this is the entire project area that you can see from University to Rio. We will be working at different locations throughout the project at different times, and I'm going to leave that up to Casey here to go ahead and give us a little bit of that information.
Yeah, thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Casey Peary. I'm the project manager for Aiken Gardner Construction. We're the contractor out there working on Mill Ave right now. These first few slides will go over some of the progress that we've made over the last year or so out there. Phase one was the University Drive intersection. We completed some upgrades to the traffic signal infrastructure underground. Installed new ramps on the south side of the intersection and the north side. The north side, you'll see have those gray pavers that are going in basically at each of the ramps on all the other intersections. That's kind of what they'll look like as you work your way north on Mill Avenue. We also replaced the pavers in the roadway with asphalt and installed new striping. Right here are a couple pictures over by PETA Jungle and T-Mobile. You'll see that there's concrete delineation bands that were installed to delineate the bands or delineate the sidewalk ramps from the buildings. This is kind of what it'll look like at each of the corners, all the way from University Drive up to Rio Salado. It'll look like this on the corners, and it'll also look like that up against the buildings. So phase two included the stretch from University Drive to 7th Street on both the east and west sidewalk areas. Within that area, we installed new streetlight pole foundations and reinstalled the streetlights on those. We completed some ADA improvements to help with the ADA issues that were going on through there. Installed more of those concrete delineation bands, which you can see in the pictures there, as well as remove the existing brick and installed new brick on both sides. We also completed some installation of those new trees that Josh had mentioned earlier. So phase three is basically everything from 7th Street to the north to Rio Salado. Here's some pictures of both the east and west side sidewalks. Similar improvements there. We installed new tree grates, bands, and new sidewalk pavers. You can see in the pictures there. To the left is a picture of the west side between 7th and 6th, and to the east is a picture of to the right is to the east on Mill Avenue. We also completed similar irrigation and streetlight infrastructure upgrades. They're within a 2-foot band that runs along the edge of the curb, basically from street to street. So here's some more pictures. Phase three. This is from 5th Street to 4th Street on the east side. As I mentioned before, there's a 2-foot utility band that gets installed along the curb line. This is actually the excavation that we did for the new utilities in there. There's new irrigation and electrical infrastructure upgrades that were installed in this area. 7th Street bump outs, you'll notice on the west side of Mill Avenue, we've removed the existing pavers and demoed the sidewalk ramps on the west side. These are some progress pictures of what's been going on over the last month over there. We've installed some of the concrete delineation bands as well as some of the curb through there as well. 4th Street to Rio Salado. This is on both sides. The top pictures are on the east side between the intersections of 4th to 3rd, 3rd to 2nd, and 2nd to Rio Salado. On that east side, we've actually installed new pavers through there and removed the existing, as well as installed concrete delineation bands. On the west side, we've got the existing brick removed now, and we're working on the electrical and irrigation infrastructure upgrades. We've installed banding on the west side as well as some bus shelter pads. We've not installed any new brick on there on the west side, but that is to come here over the next month or two. So schedule, as I mentioned, phase 1 started in August, or I'm sorry, in April 2024, and we're completed in August. That was the intersection there at University Drive. Phase 2 was the section between University Drive and 7th Street. That started right after phase 1 was completed and actually finished at the end of January. Phase 3 includes, as I mentioned before, is all the improvements from 7th Street north to Rio Salado Parkway. The section between 7th Street and 6th Street, or between 7th Street and 6th Street, that began in mid-October and was completed in March. And then over the next few months during the summer, we'll complete the ramp improvements there on the west side of 7th Street. Once those are done, our plan is to shift to the east side of 6th Street and work on the 2 ramps on the east side of 6th Street, as well as at least one corner at a time on 5th Street and 7th simultaneously to get as much as we can done during the summer months. So these are our work hours. The upcoming schedule is going to consist of both daytime and nighttime work. The daytime hours have shifted a little bit. They were 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., but here last month we shifted to a 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. schedule due to the heat and the sun. Nighttime hours are 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. After business hours. These are mainly for the improvements that are directly in front of patios or within the limits of doorways. Plan is that we would have that all reopen back up by 10 a.m. that day. There's also some varying nighttime work near the tracks for the streetcar. Whenever that takes place, it's from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. Kick it over to Allie here.
Yeah, I can take over for this part. A little bit more about front door business access. Casey already touched on it a little bit. A lot of that work is done outside of business hours. So construction team will come and talk to each individual business, make sure that they have the correct business hours for that. And so when they're right up against a storefront door, they won't be impacting anyone's accessibility into the store there. When they're working on the inside of the sidewalk, there will be ramps that allow access into the stores. So just reiterating that there will always be access into a store during store hours. We did also save some short-term retail and restaurant parking meters for you. There are those green signs and green bagged meters. There are 4 out there right now that can aid with, just because we know that parking along Mill Avenue has been removed for a good majority of the street. So to aid in quick pickups, drop-offs, those things with DoorDash, Uber Eats, even small retail orders and things where it's just a pickup. You can use those spots. There's 2 off of 7th and 2 off of 6th right now, and they've been working really well for a short term. And further in communication, there is the merchant newsletter that goes out every week that is put out by me. You'll see that usually Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays. If it's a really bad week for me, it can even be Friday. But I try to put one of those out every week to give you as much information as possible on what I'm hearing about construction, what I'm hearing from the team when I'm talking to them throughout the week about what to expect next for construction. So you'll have that a blurb every single week, and then this PowerPoint, the recorded presentation, and then the physical PowerPoint as well are available on the City of Tempe's website, the refresh page that you can see in that text below. And then I also link to it every week in that merchant newsletter. So you can find those links. You can find this and all the past presentations on there. If there's any information that you are looking for, can just reach out to anyone on this call, any member of the construction team, or me if you would prefer. If you ever feel like you're missing a sign or see something out of place, just always reach out to us so we can make those adjustments. This is more communication information. I think Josh will take over this part.
Yes. So thank you, Ali. So just wanted to touch on a few key project contacts for communication purposes. For our contractor, Aiken Gardner, Brian Richards. He's our on-site superintendent. He's the guy that's running around trying to make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to out there. Ben Pliss, he's a assistant project manager. Does a lot of our outreach and communication. Ben, can you go ahead and turn your camera on, please? Kind of put some names to faces to some names. Okay, and Casey, one more time. And there's Casey. He's the project manager for Aiken Gardner on this project. And as you just heard from Ali, she's a DTA representative, and I'm the construction project coordinator for the city of Tempe. Shauna Warner, she's our neighborhood services outreach. But your fastest way to communicate your needs or maybe some obstructions or things like that will be the project team that you see here. We're here to serve. We're here to do what we can to make this as least impactful on your businesses as we possibly can. And we know that it's frustrating, but it's work that needs to be done not only for the city of Tempe, but just to make things around in the downtown area safer for ADA purposes, and then also just upgrading the electrical infrastructure. Excuse me. Next slide. The next steps, we're going to continue to have ongoing dialogue with businesses and merchants. Ben and another member of our team, Chance, I'm sorry. I don't know if you have the ability to turn your camera on. But Chance is with Wilson. He helps me out quite a lot with outreach as well with Ben. So we'll do some coordination with some of the patios that we're going to have that will be impacted throughout these next couple of phases. But we're also going to continue these virtual meetings every second Tuesday at 2 p.m. Our next one is June 10th. And we have one in July and August as well. So with that, I think the next slide is questions.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, this is Moonshadow from the Mill Avenue Shops. I'm curious when the work will begin on the west side of Mill between 5th and 4th Street. I don't know if you said that and I missed it.
Casey, did you have the schedule in front of you?
Yeah, I
For
do.
that.
So we do on the west side between 5th Street and 4th Street, we do have some electrical infrastructure upgrades that take place on that side. There was, Morgan, can you pull up one of the pictures that I shared or that were on the slides a little bit earlier? It'll look similar to what is shown on the east side from Fifth Street to Fourth Street. Go up a couple more. So it'll look similar to this. That'll take place later this month or early next month. Just kind of depending on crew workflow. But yeah, that will be taking place like I said, later this month, early next month. And then the plan would be to actually to do the rest of it all the way up to the building. We're still several months from that taking place.
Okay. So you're gonna take out, the parking will be gone and this piece from the curb in, but people will still be able to walk, but we've got a lot of patios. So,
Correct. Yeah,
Just-
we would have about a 5 to 6 foot area that we would remove. But we'd be able to maintain sidewalk access for pedestrians and access to the patios.
okay.
Yeah, and then the parking would be gone temporarily, but when we're done with that piece within that 5 foot area, our plan would be to open that parking back up if we can.
Okay. Cool. So stuff will really start happening at the end of the month or the beginning of next month for this first phase. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then I think we had Troy from Cactus Sports have his question first, and then Anthony will get to yours next. So Troy, if you want to come off mute or type your question into the chat, I'd be happy to read it out loud.
Can you all hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome. So I noticed in your presentation today that you're actually having 3 separate times of crews working. Did you guys have that in past phases or not as many crews?
Yes, we did. And part of that is just because of working hours in regards to when businesses are open or closed. And being able to come in and do the demo work and making sure we can get things back to a ADA acceptable level once we are ready to enter the next business day.
You'll have to pardon my construction ignorance. I have some construction knowledge, but if you got, I mean, just looking at the presentation that you guys just had, recapping everything that was done between University and 7th Street on both the west and the east side, it seemed like you described both sides of the street in 2 separate sets of time frames with 3 different crews going at 3 different times of the day and night. Why is it taking 4 to 5 months just to complete 1 block?
So those work schedules, whenever we have crews working both day and night, it's not a 24-hour schedule. There's a 2 to 10, and then there's a 6 to 2. So I
Okay.
mean, there is a gap of time that's in there. But in regards to your question, why is it taking so long? Throughout this process, we found some other things through the demo process that we've had to stop and restart the process a few times in regards to making sure that we don't overlook safety issues while we're doing sidewalk and ADA repairs.
Okay.
Some of those issues are the foundations for the street lights. We've had to replace several of those. And one of the things that we're a week out from getting some more information on is for the traffic signals. Those have been the next thing that have come up, showing that we're going to have to do some repairs and some work on several of the intersections, traffic signal poles. So those are some of the things that we're finding through construction that we can't just leave for a later date, just because it could turn into a life safety issue, and the city doesn't want to take on that liability.
Right. When do you guys plan on working on the west side of the street between 5th and 6th Street?
So it would be kind of a similar situation to what we had 5th to 4th on the west side, where we'd open up a piece kind of like it's shown in that picture there.
Right.
that would be a couple weeks, sometime during this summer. And then the remaining portion, up towards the building, I guess from that where that fence would be at to the edge of building, that's quite a ways out.
Well, and we're with the, I don't mean to stammer, but I just wanted to chime in here before Casey gives up too many promises, because we don't know what that evaluation is going to look like here. So we want to make sure we have a clear understanding of everything that we have to do before we say this is when we're going to be in there and this is exactly when we're going to be done. There are some things that we're trying to fill in the gaps on right now that will keep the project moving while this is taking place, so it doesn't stop anything. But we're just trying to make sure that we're getting all of our evaluations in before we give another schedule out to anybody and make anybody upset.
Are you guys planning any kind of contingencies for super busy times of the year? Like if this starts moving into like the back to school move-in window, once we start getting into football games, is there any kind of plans where you'll kind of button up construction so we don't have this mess during, like a 4 to 5 day period of students trying to move in and families trying to get to businesses down here? And then same with football games. We only have 7 home football games, but people just don't show up on a Saturday game day. Like they come down here a couple days before and they want to eat and drink and shop. Is there going to be any kind of relief so we're guaranteed that what busy times of the year that we do have and are guaranteed that that's not going to be hindered by construction?
That's a great question, and that's something that we've had to take into consideration on these other phases, and it's been a little bit of a learning experience. But I think that we've gotten to a point to where everybody, both merchants and a contractor, are both able to achieve the goal of getting this work done so we can get out of your way, but also you guys are there because you want customers. But yes, we will. We have in the past made sure to shut down on a Thursday or a Friday, and we don't bring anything back up until first thing Monday morning or really, really, really late Sunday night. Okay. One of the two, just depending on the type of businesses we're around. Sometimes it has to be early morning.
Okay, great. All my questions are done.
Don't hesitate to contact us. I'm sure that there's going to be some of this that you're going to have that'll come up later. We're here to help.
Absolutely. I'll definitely I'll keep in contact with all you guys.
Thank you, Troy. Anthony, go ahead if you still have your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Casey, Warren, Allie, for being here and providing the information that you've provided, and then allowing us to ask some questions here. In reference to Streetscape on the west side of Mill, in between 2nd and 3rd Street, do you happen to have any sort of update or timeline on when those curbs or intersections will begin working over there? I know that there's some concerns with a number of the corporate properties right there on the west side of Mill, just maintaining access, but needing to know in advance so that they can pass that information along to their tenants. They're trying to get at least 2-week notice ahead of time before things start really picking up on the 2nd Street intersection.
Yeah, so at this point in time, the access at that location will always be, they'll have access from the intersection at Mill and 3rd. And then the only time they wouldn't have access coming south is when we're on the south side of the intersection, or we're taking that whole intersection at 2nd away at the same time, Casey.
I think the plan when we do the corners would be to close the intersection. Yes.
Yes, so that would be, we would definitely have to give you a couple of weeks heads up on that, but that's work that we can do um, to kind of fill in the gaps with the rest of what we got going on, because it is a bit out of the way. Not that it's not important, but we're trying to make sure we have an understanding of all the long lead things that we're going to need to get at the front end of this before we commit to putting another crew down there at second and third at this point in time. I hope that makes sense. I know that I'm kind of stumbling around in the answers a little bit, but we just don't have firm answers to give anybody at this point in time.
No, that's fair. When speaking with Scott, we had, kind of brought those concerns about fully shutting Second Street off with the property owners there, with 100 Mill, Tempe Gateway, and just the amount of people that go into those buildings, vehicles, and limiting that access to only Rio Salado is not going to fly. I believe Scott has come up with a solution to ensure that that does not happen. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page that Second Street is not going to close, and that it'll happen in phases to where people can still get in, and then in the afternoon it changes to an exit if need be. But just making sure that is being heard and considered when working on that Second Street.
Okay, I'll have to talk to Scott. That's information I didn't have, but we'll definitely hear what your conversations were and try to adjust the plans to that.
All right, and feel free to reach out to me, and I can get the building owners involved as well, and we could all chat about it and make sure that everybody's concerns are heard, and we come up with a solution that works for everybody.
Thank you, Anthony, for your questions. Does anyone else have any comments, questions? I don't see anyone raise hand, but feel free to come off mute or type in the chat. Alrighty, I'll take that as we don't, so I'll conclude the merchant meeting for today. Thank you everybody for showing up, and this recording will go on our website like Ali mentioned, and feel free to reach out to anyone on the project team so we can get any questions that you might have after answered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.